All right. Good evening to those of you on the East Coast. Good afternoon to those of you on the West Coast. Welcome to this special edition of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And today we have a special guest joining us today to discuss their role in the latest series in Starz' Spartacus universe known as House of ASHUR. Not familiar with the show? Well, let me bring you up to speed. Starz' original series Spartacus debuted back in 2010 with plenty of political intrigue, sex, bloody gore, and mayhem. And each season took on a subtitle which laid the foundation or highlighted the story of each respective season's arc. With that in mind, the series' final season, War of the Dam, in its original run, would reach its bittersweet conclusion in 2013 with episode 10's victory. However, in lieu of the current trend, as we're seeing right now in pop culture, of exploring Elseworld and alternate universe storylines, last December to be exact, audiences were provided the opportunity to journey back to the world of Spartacus with a new entry titled House of ASHUR. Following the duplicitous and cunning former gladiator ASHUR, the new season explores a what-if scenario where the title character has slain Spartacus, a treacherous act which results in him being awarded the very house that he had previously served, along with his gladiators, by the Roman Empire. And that brings us to today's guest, which you see here in the background. He has a career that spans 35 plus years in music, theater, television, and motion pictures in New Zealand, in Australia, and in the US. He's no stranger to the world of sword and sandals, of course, because we've had him here on the show, talking about his role as the god Strife in the television universe that was near and dear to me, as I've mentioned before, growing up as a kid, that being Hercules, the Legendary Adventures, as well as Xena, Warrior Princess. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show, Joel Tobeck. Let me bring him on now. Joel, hello.
Hello, kia ora from New Zealand. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Great. It's very, very hot and muggy here. The complete opposite to what you guys are experiencing in the States.
For sure. So, as I always say, which is always fun to say, hello from the past, because we always talk about making the joke of where you are and being in New Zealand. It is Saturday now already
Yes.
for you. So, with that, just to start, I mentioned at the top, at the end of Spartacus' initial run, we saw the end of that initial run, but we also had a peek with your said character. So can you talk about having the opportunity to be able to do a deeper dive with the character of Pompey with this current series?
Yeah. Look, anytime Rick Jacobson offers you a job in a new TV show, you just immediately say yes before he's even laid down any terms. Because I love working with him so much. He gives me so much freedom. We've worked together a lot throughout the whole Hercules and Xenoverse, with, as you mentioned before. So he will always throw me the characters that are, in my eyes, really interesting and dangerous. And the end of the last series of Spartacus, Pompey was brought in for the last sort of scene. Of course, I jumped at the chance to play a Roman figurehead like Pompey, and and it just so happens that sort of carried on straight through to where we are now with the House of ASHUR. And Rick said, "Well, Pompey's coming back," and he just said to me at the first read through, "You just be you, Joel," which is it's like giving license to do whatever you like, and which I think Rick loves. That fact that I can run with some sort of direction and some motivation like that. So I really enjoy working for these guys, and they give me a lot of freedom and a chance to be evil and nasty and bad, which is fun.
For sure. And haven't had an opportunity to see the episode aired today, guys. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. And I'll try to keep it as mild as possible. I will try to avoid what transpires is just the idea that, just as you said, a character that is has a lot of colors, as you could say, to him in terms of what makes him tick. Could you share what goes into the formation of that character? Because you have someone who, if we're talking about a period piece, there are some elements where we have been brought up to speed on this character, but at the same time we have a heightened reality of this series
Yeah.
Spartacus, so that provides a new angle as well.
Yeah, no, look, Pompey in history was part of a very nasty triumvirate of the current Roman climate, and he's quite a nasty person, and made no bones about wiping out entire races of people, and was pretty ruthless.
Yeah.
So there was a lot. I think with Pompey, he holds a lot of what we call in New Zealand mana, which is sort of holds a lot of respect and fear.
Infamy.
Infamy, and of course, I guess because of the times that House of ASHUR is set in, there's no social media. It's everything's word of mouth. So all people hear about is Pompey has done this, and he's wiped out this entire battalion of ships by doing this, and he's ruthless. He's very cutthroat, and of course that instills fear in anybody when you hear that Pompey's on the way, and we hear about this horrible, vicious person who's about to show up. So of course that sows the seed for some pretty dramatic times and pretty heightened times. He's a very dark and devious character. Yeah,
for sure. And I feel like one thing that exemplifies that, there is a moment that you share with a co-star of yours, with Gambinius, it's played by actor Andrew McFarlane, which I feel exemplifies what that entails. So
yeah.
Can you share being able to do that scene and kind of to be able to demonstrate what is behind that character, because there's a lot of juicy dialogue in that gives you a tease of how, as you say, ruthless and dark this character is.
Yeah. Well, of course, I've worked with Andrew before in Australia, and he's a fantastic actor. So, of course, the scene was, to that heavy dialogue scene, to be able to sit down and work with him again on something so well written, of course, by Stephen Estonite and everybody. It's all set up really for a couple of actors with the dialogue and the tension around the whole scene. And it's Pompey just really testing the waters and
right.
Really testing the loyalty of the man opposite him that he's talking to. Basically saying, "Don't mess with me," which of course doesn't need to be said because everyone knows of Pompey's history.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on, and of course the wonderful dialogue that we get given. It's a great exercise for us actors to make this. It's sort of speech and words that we don't usually use in everyday life, especially in 2026. So for an actor, it's a great exercise in making meaning of what's written down in front of us, and it's beautifully written, and it was actually very easy to learn the lines as an actor. I first got the script and was like, oh my God, how am I going to learn this?
Yeah.
But when you're working with such great people, I always say great dialogue is really easy to learn, So
for sure,
there's a lot going on, and there's so many different facets of all the personalities, and of course, it's just like politics. One person's doing this, another person's saying, "Oh yeah," and stabbing you in the back at the same time. So, yeah.
No, and I was going to say that's one of the things that I do enjoy about this series is just the kind of the dichotomy that you have and the subtext that you have underneath a lot of the dialogue, because even in that interaction, it's unfortunate. It's kind of heartbreaking that you have this father that is trying to create this alliance with your character and his strategy in order to be able to do that. And he kind of really opens himself up to you, and what he asks of you, you don't even address it, and you just it was a very fascinating scene. I'll just say that,
and
the choice to be able to do that.
there's also the relationship that Pompey has with Caesar, which is
That
very
too, yeah,
famous as well. So
yeah.
there's all that sort of going on. And then, of course, you have ASHUR in the middle of it all. So, it's really, the dynamics are fantastic. And I think with the cast that we have, a lot of local people, and of course, our brothers and sisters from the States and Australia, and in English, and from England, it's great. It's a great team. I mean, for me to walk in right at the end of the shoot, it's always nerve-wracking coming on to the back end of a show when everyone knows each other. They've been doing it a long time, but just to be, they're so lovely and welcoming, and you kind of know you're in good hands.
And can I also say kudos, by the way, because that is not an easy thing to be able to do, to be able to come towards the end, because in essence, the
Yeah.
whole season, you have your presence is felt throughout the entire season because you're being
Yeah.
hyped up. But you still have to be able to enter in there and bring, credence to all of that hype.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos, sir. So with that, I was gonna say, I know we were just talking about the dialogue and how unique it is with this show. There are a lot of givens when it comes to the world of Spartacus. I'm sure you're aware. Whether we're talking about the manner of speak, whether we're talking about the violence, whether we're talking about the nudity, all of which, Joe, you are not exempt of any of those three things. So can you talk a bit of being able to handle that and contend with that as an actor when you're talking about this world of Spartacus, when you're entering that world of Spartacus?
Yeah, of course, we're not of that time. So we're only really going on what perhaps our performance instincts are telling us, and from what we've read. And of course, I did a little bit of research. I have friends who are very all over this sort of history, but I can talk to them about it. But of course, like anything from those days, it's all sort of word of mouth and read from books. So we don't have any direct connection with it, unlike today in the social media world. But so we've only really got our imagination to go on. But and of course, there's not only the dialogue, there's the character you have to develop, and who this person is deep down. Does he have a soul? Well, no, I don't think Pompey has a soul, but
To what degree? Right.
That's right. So, and of course, there's the dealing with the gladiators and that world of violence, which really turns Pompey on, which Joel Tobeck just would completely flinch from. So you've got to let go of all your faculties, really, and just dive deep into the character. And then, of course, there is a bit of nudity, and that's something that we all have to agree to do. But it's all handled very respectfully, and we have these days we have people around us who we have a conversation about what's going on, and what's required, and what's not required. So it's all very safe, which is great. And I'm of the old school, I guess, in a way where, take your shirt off. Yeah, well, let's just do it. It's in the name of the project. But of course, nowadays we must be very, very, very careful, and everything is a process. So I appreciate that.
Gotcha. And in lieu of those things, what you say, because you even outside of Spartacus and other projects that you've done with that same kind of sensibility, you would say carry over, elsewhere with the other projects that you've done as well when it comes to those things?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's actors are very vulnerable, though they might be playing characters that aren't very vulnerable. But to get in front of a room full of 60-odd people all staring at you going, well, come on, mate, we've got to shoot the scene. It can be very stressful. So the idea is to make everybody comfortable. And I think especially when you're very vulnerable in a situation where there is nudity or there is sexual activity, no matter how fake it is, you've got to respect the process. And I think it's about time that we are at this point, especially with what's happened in the last few years, that these things are managed and looked after. And we had Tandy Wright and Jennifer Ward Leland who really looked after us. And there's the scene with myself and Tanika. We talked about it thoroughly, and it was great. And my main concern was that Tanika was comfortable, and I wanted, everyone on the same page, which is ultimately what we all want to do. So I haven't done a lot of nudity. I've done a little bit in the past, but I've always been careful to make sure that everyone else is comfortable first before I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And in that same regard, and in terms of the violence aspect, because of being able to coordinate a lot of those things, because I know everything is very much timed and choreographed.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with things that are that explicit and that violent, can you also share how detailed that has to be? Because if you're dealing with lots of blood and obviously you have to clean up and do all of those things, you have to be able to get it right the first time and be able to be in sync with it happening the way it needs to.
Yes, and that's why we have great stunt coordinators and the New Zealand stunt team. I've been working with them for years, for the last 20, 30 years, and they're always amazing. Always, everything's very slow and considered, and the choreography and fights is always very slow. And we're making sure everyone's sort of on the same page. We know what we're doing. I mean, occasionally I've heard stories of actors throwing in an extra move during a fight scene, and that can really throw you, because we've really worked these scenes,
every single part,
every single part. And so to throw in a curveball here and there just because you're in a character moment, and you're getting a little carried away, doesn't really serve us at all. So we're always very careful. The cleanup. I did a short film once where I was covered in wounds from head to toe, and it was all prosthetics. And of course, the blood and stuff was a mixture of molasses and something else. So, it was just I spent 3 days lying in a sticky mess. As I was a parachutist who had fallen out of the sky and landed on the beach, and it was just awful. But when the camera's rolling, you don't think about it. You just get in the zone and do your job. But it's in between times that it's like, oh, get me out of here. I hate it.
No, I was going to ask because I was going to say I didn't bring it up earlier, but even in speaking of Evil Dead, of the series, that series, which is extremely bloody and extremely gory, I feel like that's the only one that probably does justice to the level of blood and gore that Spartacus is, because that show was very bloody and gory, of being able to kind of contend and deal with that. So
a lot of fun though. I mean, when the camera's rolling, that's when the fun's happening.
Awesome. So with that, Joel, I know you need to skedaddle. I know you don't have a lot of time with us, so I wanted to keep it short and sweet. Before I let you go, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yes, I'm on Instagram under at Joel Tobeck. I have a website, joeltobeck.net. But that's about it, really. I don't do a lot of social media, but Instagram would be probably my most common one. I'm in New Zealand. Find me in New Zealand. But yeah, so Instagram mostly, and joeltobeck.net. But I've got to get a bit better with the social media thing. I'm not as all over it as I should be.
Hit me up. Holler at me. So with that. With that, I want to thank Joel so much for joining us. I'm your host, Brandon Choi, co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. You can find me at Brandon Choi ENT on X, and then Brandon Choi _ENT on Instagram. With that, I just wanted to also let you guys know Spartacus House of ASHUR premiered December 5th on Stars, with new episodes dropping on Fridays. As I mentioned earlier, today was the penultimate episode. So I definitely look forward to seeing who is left standing by the end of next week's finale, episode 10. With that, thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye now.
Thank you.
Yes.